Do you need to pass GED Math? Then you're going to want to know how to beat GED Math equations questions. And in this video, we're going to walk through equations examples, starting with basic examples, and we're going to work our way up to harder examples. And the name of the game here is to help you learn an important skill so you can hopefully pass math faster and get a higher score, so you can move ahead to bigger and better things in life like college or a better job or joining the military, whatever your goal happens to be. And we're going to get started now. So let's start off with a basic example here. It says if x plus 9 equals 11, then x equals what? Is it A, B, C, or D? So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So the name of the game here is to solve for x. And that's a fancy way of saying we want to get x alone on one side of our equation. So we see that we have x plus 9 equals 11. So what I'm going to do, since I see that we have a plus sign in front of the 9, I'm going to do the opposite operation of addition, which is subtraction. Another way to say that is the inverse. So what I'm going to do is subtract by 9 over here, and the 9s will cancel out. But the rule is that whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So we see that 11 minus 9 equals 2, and the final answer is x equals 2, or B. Now, I just want to point out, even though we already know that the answer is B2, that you could also do this using back solving, and you might get a handful of questions on the test that you can solve by back solving. It's not going to work on every question, but you might get a handful that you can do it for, so it's up to you to decide how you want to do them. But if we wanted to use the back solving method, what we would do is we would just plug each answer choice in for x and see if it gives us 11. So I'm going to take 4 and I'm going to plug it in for x. So I'm going to do 4 plus 9 and see what I get. And if I get 11, I would know that A is the right answer. So 4 plus 9 is 13, it's not 11. So I would know from that A is not the right answer. So what about B? Well, what I'm going to do next is plug 2 in for x. So 2 plus 9 does give me 11, so by doing it that way, I would see that B is the correct answer. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to focus on breaking these examples down by teaching you how to do it just by solving equations without using back solving, because you're not going to be able to back solve for every question on the test, but I just wanted to point out that for some questions, you might be able to use back solving. Now, I want to give you some notes here, and it's totally up to you if you want to write any of this down or not, but I want to provide you with some notes here, and hopefully this will become more clear as we work through examples in the video. But basically, to solve an equation, you must isolate the variable on one side of the equation. Now, variable is just a fancy word for an unknown, and this is typically going to be an x or a y, could be z, a, or b, depending on the question, but just keep in mind that that's going to be the letter. So the key with equations is that whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must also do it to the other side. And I'm going to be repeating that a lot throughout this video. You'll probably get tired of hearing me say it, but it really is important. And you want to also do the inverse, also known as the opposite operation, to solve these equations. So the inverse of multiplication is division. The inverse of division is multiplication. The inverse of addition is subtraction, and the inverse of subtraction is addition. And like I said, this might not be completely clear now, but hopefully it'll make more sense as we go throughout examples in the video. Please match the equations to the solutions. So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's start off here by looking at the first equation, x over 5 equals 9. So we've got x over 5 equals 9. And the name of the game here is to get the x by itself. So this is x divided by 5. So what's the opposite of division? The opposite of division is multiplication. So what I'm going to do is multiply by 5. So when I do that, the 5s are going to cancel out. And that's going to leave me with just x over here, which is what I want. But the thing to remember is that whatever we do to one side, we also have to do it to the other side. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do 9 times 5. Now, 9 times 5 is 45. So for the first box here, we see that we're going to write in 45. Because when it comes to x over 5 equals 9, we just figured out that x equals 45. So that's the answer for the first box. So now let's take a look at this one. X minus 12 equals 10. Now, the name of the game here is to get the x by itself on one side of the equation. In other words, we want to solve this for x. So I've got x minus 12. Now, what's the opposite of minus? Well, the opposite of minus is plus. So I'm going to add 12 to this side. And the 12s are going to cancel out, which is what I want. But I have to remember to also add 12 over here, because whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side. So we'll see that x equals 22, because 10 plus 12 is 22. So let me clear this out of the way just so I have some room to look at the next one. And we see here, well, I don't really have to write x equals 45. I can just could have just written 45 here. And I'm just going to put 22 here. So we know that in this case here, x equals 22. So we've already used 22 and 45. So let's look at the next one here. X plus 17 equals 18. Now we want to apply a similar strategy here. We want to get the x by itself. But we see that we've got plus 17 here, so I want to subtract 17, and remember, I'm going to do it to both sides. And 17's cancel out over here, and we know that 18 minus 17 is 1, so we see that the answer here is 1. So for x plus 17 equals 18, we know that x equals 1. Now, we already know that the answer has to be 25 here, because that's the only one that's left, but I'm going to break this down anyway just for practice here. So we've got 4x equals 100. Now 4x is 4 times x. So how am I going to get the x by itself here? Well, I want to do the opposite of times, which is division. So I'm going to divide by 4 over here. The 4's cancel out, but whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other. So I have to hop over here and do 100 divided by 4. So we'll see that the answer is x equals 25. So the answers should be 45, 22, 1, and 25. If you got these right, great work. If you had trouble with this, absolutely no worries. Great work for sticking with it. Hopefully this makes sense now. If 4x plus 20 equals 40, then x equals what? So I'm going to give you a chance now, if you'd like to pause the video and try to figure this out. And if you get stuck or unsure how to do it, absolutely no worries, because whenever you unpause the video, we're just going to break it down. Okay, so let's look at this example. So when I look at an example like this, the first thing that I want to do is look at what's not with the x. So I see that the 4 is with the x here, so I'm just going to ignore it for now. And I'm going to start with this 20 here. So again, I want to start by looking at what's not with the x. So I see that I have 20 here, and I'm going to move 20 away from the left-hand side. How do I do that? Well, I see that there's a plus sign in front of the 20, so I want to subtract. So if I subtract 20 over here on the left-hand side of my equation, the 20s are going to cancel out. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side. So I have to subtract 20 over here. So I'm going to bring my 4x along for the ride, and I now have 4x equals 20. Now, where did this 20 come from? Well, I have 20 here because 40 minus 20 is 20. Okay, so again, the first step, I had 4x plus 20 equals 40. I subtracted 20 from both sides, and I got 4x equals 20. So I have 4x here, that's 4 times x. So I get rid of this 4 on the left by dividing by 4. So the 4's will cancel out, and whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side. So I'm going to do 20 divided by 4 over here, and that's 5. So I see that x equals 5. So the answer here is x equals 5. If 4 over 9x minus 10 equals 50, then x equals what? So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need. And as always, absolutely no worries if you get stuck or aren't sure how to do this. The most important thing right now is the learning. And we're just practicing, so don't worry about getting this right or wrong. Just give it a shot, and then if you get stuck, we'll go over it. So let me give you a chance to try it now. Okay, so let's go over this question now. And I want to start by dealing with what's not with the x. So the 4 over 9x, I'm just going to ignore that for the time being. And I see that I've got minus 10 here. So I'm going to do plus 10, and that's going to cancel this out. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side. So I'm also going to do 50 plus 10. So let me pull the 4 over 9x along for the ride. And as I rewrite this, I'll have 4 over 9x equals 60. So now what I'm going to do is multiply by 9 on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by 9 over here, and the reason that I'm going to do that is because the 9s will cancel out when I do that over here. But again, whatever I do on one side, I also have to do on the other. And I see in my calculator that 9 times 60 is 540, so I'll have 4x equals 540. And now the next thing that I want to do here is divide by 4 on both sides, because I've got 4x, and I want to get rid of the 4. So I divide by 4 over here, the 4's cancel out. I divide by 4 over here, and I see that x equals 135. Now, we already know what the answer is, but I want to show you how you could kind of do this quickly in your calculator if you got to that 4 over 9x equals 60. So you could have the 60 here, and then you could do something like this. You could just hit 60 divided by 4 times 9, and then hit enter, and you see that that gives you the right answer. So just another way to think about it here. If you want to do it all, kind of like just punch the numbers in, that would be one way to do it once you get to that step. The next example says, given the formula 2x squared minus 3y equals 2z, find z if x equals 5 and y equals 4. So let me give you a chance now, if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video, and whether you get it right or wrong, we'll just go over it. Okay, so I'm going to start off here by just plugging in the numbers. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, let me show you here. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 5, since I know that x equals 5. And wherever I see a y, I'm going to replace it with a 4. So let me rewrite this, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay, so it's going to look like this. 2 times 5 squared minus 3 times 4 equals 2z. And when I make my z's in math, sometimes I like to put an extra line right here. And the reason I do that is because, see here, I've got 2 next to a z, and my handwriting is pretty bad. Actually, sometimes I can't even read my own writing. But see, if I wrote my z like this, like I might be confused and think this is 22 or something like that. So that's just why I write my z's like that. And anyway, let's do some math now. So 5 squared is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. And I'm going to bring the minus here, and 3 times 4 is 12. So I'll have 50 minus 12 equals 2z. 50 minus 12 is 38. So I'll have 38 equals 2z. And the last step here to get the z by itself is 2 divide by 2 on both sides. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, at least for me. So 38 divided by 2 is 19. So we'll see that 19 equals z. So D is the correct answer here. If 25 over x plus 45 equals 50, then x equals what? Let me give you a chance now, if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about this question here. So the first thing that I want to do is look at the number that doesn't have the x in it. So the 45 is what I want to focus on first. So this 25 over x, I'm just going to ignore it for right now. And I see that I have a plus in front of my 45, so I want to do minus 45. And whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side. So see how we get rid of the 45 here on the left. So let me rewrite what I have down here. So I'll have 25 over x equals 5. So now we have 25 over x equals 5. How do we move forward here? Well, there are multiple ways to look at this, but one way to look at it is to multiply by x on both sides. So if I multiply by x on the left side, the x's cancel out, and if I multiply by x on the right side, I'll get 5x. Now remember, if I multiply by x on the left side, I also have to do it on the right side, because whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it on the other side. So that's how I end up with my 25 equals 5x. So again, I had 25 over x equals 5, and what I did was I multiplied by x on both sides, and that's how I got 25 equals 5x. So now what we have to do to get the x by itself is divide by 5 on both sides. So we do that, and we see that 5 equals x, because 25 divided by 5 equals x. So we already know that the answer here is 5. But let me back up here and let me show you a different way to think about this. And when I see this 25 over x equals 5, what I can kind of do is flip both sides upside down. So this 25 over x, what I can do is flip it upside down so that I have x over 25. And if I do this, I also have to flip the 5 upside down. So right now we've got 5. So if I flip 5 upside down, it's going to become 1 over 5. So I now have x over 25 equals 1 over 5, and the name of the game is to get the x by itself. So what I'm going to do is multiply by 25 on both sides, right? Because if I multiply by 25 over here on the left, the 25s will cancel out, and whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it on the other. All right, so when I rewrite this, I'll have x equals 5, because 25 divided by 5 is 5. So those are just two different ways to think about this here, and at the end of the day, you have to think about it whichever way you think is going to be easiest for you. A scenario like this, 25 over x equals 5, it can be a little bit tricky, but hopefully this makes sense now. And the answer here, however you look at it, is 5. The next examples, in my opinion, are the hardest ones in this video, and if you disagree and think something else was harder, feel free to let me know down below in the comments if you want to. So without further ado, let's get into this video's Champions Challenge questions. So now we're going to switch gears here and we're going to talk about system of equations questions. Now, the method that I'm going to cover in this video, I like to call it stacking or cancellation, but some people call it linear combination and some people just call it the combination method. But whatever you want to call it, it's typically going to be the fastest way to get these questions right, but it can be a little tricky. So I'm going to show you how to use it next, and just know that there is another way to do these questions besides that stacking or combination method, whatever you want to call it. There's also the substitution method, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to cover the substitution method here in this video, but I will put a link down below to a video where I have more examples of system of equation questions, and I do cover substitution in that video, so if you're interested, you can find the link to that down below in the description. So now we're going to talk about system of equations, and the first example I want to cover is on screen. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, we'll go over the answer. So the idea is that I want to start by taking both equations here, and I'm going to stack them on top of each other. So I want 8x plus y equals 20 over 4x plus 2y equals 25. So again, the first step here is I just took the equations and I rewrote it so that one is stacked on top of the other. Now, when I do this, I just want to make sure that I've got the x's lined up and the y's lined up. So I wouldn't want to do something like this, 8x over 2y. I want to set it up so that I've got 8x over 4x and y over 2y, just like this. So now I want to ask myself, since we're trying to find the value of x, can I make a change to one of these equations so that the y's will cancel out? And I know that sounds pretty confusing, so let me just show you what I mean. So if I look at the first equation up here, right, if instead of having a y here, if I had negative 2y, the y's would cancel out because negative 2y plus 2y is 0, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything here in the top equation by negative 2. Okay, so negative 2 times 8x is negative 16x. All right, y times negative 2 is negative 2y, and then 20 times negative 2 is negative 40. All right, so again, the reason why I multiplied everything by negative 2 is because I want negative 2y in the first equation, because when I add the equations, the y's are going to cancel out, and that's going to get me closer to finding the value of x. And the key here is that I can't just multiply y by negative 2. I had to multiply everything in the first equation by negative 2. Okay, so let me add them here. So I'm just going to add here. So what is negative 16x plus 4x? Well, that's negative 12x. Now, negative 2y plus 2y cancels out, right? So now I have to do negative 40 plus 25, and that gives me negative 15. So now what I have to do is divide by negative 12 on both sides. And what we'll see is that over here on the left-hand side, the negative 12s cancel out, leaving me with just x. And on the right-hand side, I can simplify this down. So negative 15 over negative 12 simplifies to positive 5 over 4. So one way to do this is just to look at this and say, well, negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive, so that's why the negative signs go away. And you can divide 15 by 3 and 12 by 3 to get 5 over 4. Now, you can always do this in your calculator too. So you're going to start by hitting this button that says n over d. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the negative, and then I'm going to put in 15. Now I'm going to hit this little arrow here to bring me down to the bottom of the fraction, and then I'm going to put negative 12 in. And then I'm going to hit enter right here. So I do that, and it simplifies it for me, and it gives me 5 over 4. So it's totally up to you to figure out for yourself if you want to use a calculator to do that, or if you just want to look at it and just figure it out. Either way is fine. Now, we could also write 5 over 4 as 1.25, right? So maybe you did 5 divided by 4 in your calculator and got 1.25. Either answer is acceptable here. If negative 5x minus 4y equals 20, and 15x minus 4y equals 10, what is the value of x? Please write your answer in the box below. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to rewrite these so that they're stacked on top of each other. So let me do that now. So now what I'm going to do is make a change to one of the equations so that the y's will cancel out when I add them. And the reason I want the y's to cancel out is because it's asking what is the value of x. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the top equation and I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. And let me explain why I'm doing that. So I have negative 4y in the first equation, and if I multiply negative 4 by negative 1, it's going to become positive 4y. So when I add the equations, positive 4y and negative 4y are going to cancel out. But I can't just multiply negative 4y by negative 1. I have to multiply everything in the equation by negative 1. So let me show you what this is going to look like. So negative 1 times negative 5x becomes positive 5x. Negative 1 times negative 4y becomes positive 4y. And 20 times negative 1 is negative 20. And then the equation down here, I'm just going to rewrite that down below, and I'm not going to make any changes to it. Okay, so now I want to add these two equations. So 5x plus 15x is 20x. 4y minus 4y cancels out. And then I have negative 20 plus 10, which gives me negative 10. And so now the name of the game is to get the x by itself. So I want to divide by 20 on both sides. So what do I get when I do that? Well, I get x equals negative 10 over 20, and I want to simplify that. And one way to do that is to just say, hey, there's a 0 in the 10 and there's a 0 in the 20. I cross these out, and I get negative 1 over 2. But of course, there's other ways to think about it. You can also just look at it and say, well, 10 is half of 20, so this reduces down to half. And of course, we have to keep the negative in front of it, so it's negative half. But anyway, the answer here is x equals negative half.